a new Division I women's volleyball poll has been released. I'm going to go over that as well as the RPI. Then my top 10 as well as like top 25 games to keep an eye on, especially when it comes down to who might be the new number one, or the number one's going to stay the same here. Now, the AVCA volleyball rankings goes as follows. Wisconsin with 59 first place votes, Nebraska with 5 first place votes, and everybody else didn't have a first place vote in all this. And both those teams are unbeaten at 17-0. Then 3 through 25 goes as follows. Stanford, Washington State, Louisville, Texas, Pitt, Oregon, BYU, Arkansas, Penn State, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Kansas, Creighton, Dayton, Arizona State, and Florida State are tied at 17th. Somebody has to be a clear number 17. Somebody has to be a clear number 18. Come on. Come on now. Purdue, Kentucky, Baylor, Houston, Auburn, UCF, and Western Kentucky. The last two teams were seeing votes last week. Now they're ranked. And the only reason why Baylor dropped a spot is not because they lost. It's because Kentucky got a good win. And we're seeing vote. Obviously, Iowa State and Minnesota had to drop in at the top 25. So Minnesota is receiving 101 votes. James Madison with 33. Iowa State with 33. UC Santa Barbara with 32. Indiana 30. Ohio State 27. Texas A&M 24. And Marquette with 15 votes. Now, I'm going to go over to RPI, which is kind of important because of the 1 through 16 process, as well as are you going to be able to host up to the Elite 8 round? I mean, that's important to have that home court advantage as much as possible here. Besides those bubble teams, like the 1 through 16 right now in RPI would be Nebraska, Stanford, Wisconsin, Texas, Louisville, Washington State, Arkansas, Pitt, Oregon, Florida, Penn State, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, BYU, Arizona State, and Western Kentucky. But I would keep an eye on more on 40 through 60 and not any more than that, because, you know, there's automatic qualifiers and all that. TCU, Drake, Mississippi State, Cal, Indiana, St. John's, and New York, Houston, Pepperdine, SFA, Clemson, Long Beach State, Western Michigan, University of Northern Iowa, USC as University of Southern California, Rice, South Alabama, Ohio State, UCLA, Northwestern, Hawaii, and Wichita State. Obviously, there are some teams on there that are not on the list. It's because they're in a low RPI and it's like a one bid league. Obviously, if you're in a one bid league, you gotta find a way to win your conference. Obviously, and avoid any battle. If you have a conference tournament, you gotta win the conference tournament. But for teams that do not, you gotta avoid bad losses as much as possible and win as much as possible. Especially those quality games you need to find a way to win to get yourself off the bubble potentially. Now, my top 10 goes as follows in Division I women's volleyball. Wisconsin, Nebraska, obvious 1 and 2. Then Stanford, Washington State, Louisville, Texas, Pitt, BYU, Oregon went down a spot for me because of that loss. But it is what it is. Then Arkansas, number 10. That rounds out the top 10. Now, teams outside looking in are like Penn State, Tennessee, Kansas, Georgia Tech, Dayton, Creighton. In no particular order. Now, some top 25 games to keep an eye on are number 10, Arkansas, number 12, Tennessee, number 1, Wisconsin, at number 2, Nebraska. Yeah, that's going to be a barn burner right there. It's going to decide is Wisconsin going to stay number 1 or is Nebraska going to take over? Number 24, UCF at Baylor twice. Not once, but twice. Number 3, Stanford at number 7, Oregon. Number 19, Purdue at number 11, Penn State. Number 10, Arkansas at number 20, Kentucky. So that's 2, 4, 5, 7 games right there to keep an eye on right there. Though there are some ranked versus receiving vote game teams, and you got to keep an eye on too what really happens, because upsets do happen. Not just the ranked versus ranked, but ranked versus unranked. So, and it's going to affect the poll some. And I just thought to give some games right there just to nationally keep it on, especially the 1 versus 2. It's the most entertaining one of all. Anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe, and see you guys later on the road 600 subscribers. Of course, the ultimate goal is 1,000 or more, so we can make money off of this. Of course, liking the video, watching the video, like you're going right now, commenting really helps the YouTube algorithm so more people could see it. So that's all I gotta say, and have a great day, y'all.